Welcome to My AI and I, the podcast where humanity meets technology. Today's episode, AI Vocal Remover. Turn any song into your personal karaoke machine.
So there's this AI vocal remover thing that's trending everywhere right now. Basically, you upload any song and it strips out the vocals, leaving you with just the instrumental track. But here's my question. Isn't this basically theft? Like you're taking someone's copyrighted song and chopping it up? Navi, what's the deal here? Are we talking about a useful tool or glorified music piracy?
That's exactly the right question to ask first. The technology itself isn't illegal. It's just audio processing, like adjusting the bass or treble on your stereo. But what you do with the separated tracks is where the legal issues come in. Using the instrumental for personal karaoke at home? Probably fine. Uploading it to YouTube or selling remixes? That's where you get into copyright trouble.
But here's another question. How did these AI models learn to do this in the first place? Did they scrape millions of copyrighted songs without permission to train these systems?
That's an even deeper ethical question, and honestly, most companies aren't very transparent about their training data. These models need thousands of songs to learn the difference between vocals and instruments. It's very likely that copyrighted music was used in training without explicit permission from artists or labels. So you could argue the entire foundation of these tools is built on unauthorized use of copyrighted material.
So we're not just talking about what people do with the output, but whether the whole system is ethically compromised from the start. That's like asking if it matters how you use a stolen car when the car itself was stolen.
Exactly. And that's where it gets legally murky. We're dealing with a technology that might be built on questionable foundations, then used in ways that create additional copyright issues. It's layers of ethical problems stacked on top of each other. The training data question, the end use question, and the lack of clear legal precedent. The whole ecosystem feels ethically compromised.
Okay, so it's like having a photocopier. The machine isn't illegal, but what you copy and what you do with it matters. What exactly does this technology do, and how does it work?
It's called source separation. The AI has been trained on thousands of songs to recognize the difference between vocal frequencies and instrumental frequencies. It analyzes the stereo field, frequency patterns, and audio characteristics to identify and isolate different elements of a track. Think of it like having incredibly smart audio editing software that can pick apart a mixed song and separate the ingredients.
That's actually pretty sophisticated. Back in the day, if you wanted to remove vocals, you had those cheesy tricks that made everything sound like it was recorded underwater. This sounds way more advanced than that.
It's dramatically better than those old phase cancellation tricks. The AI can actually understand what a vocal sounds like versus what a guitar sounds like. That said, it's not perfect. Songs with heavy reverb or vocals mixed dead center can be tricky. And if the vocal and instrumental frequencies overlap a lot, you might get some artifacts.
So what are the tools that actually do this well? And more importantly, are they being upfront about the legal stuff?
The top players right now are LALAL.AI, Ultimate Vocal Remover, and Moises. Most of them do include disclaimers about copyright. They're pretty clear that separating tracks doesn't give you the right to use them commercially. LALAL.AI is probably the most polished. Ultimate Vocal Remover is free and open source, and Moises is popular with musicians.
Good that they're at least acknowledging the copyright issue. But let's be real. How many people are actually reading those disclaimers?
Probably not many. And that's where it gets problematic. A lot of people assume that if they can separate the vocals, they can use the instrumental track however they want. But the original song is still copyrighted, whether you've removed the vocals or not. It's like photocopying a book but only keeping the pictures. You're still using copyrighted material.
So what are the legitimate uses? Because there have to be some, or this wouldn't be legal to offer.
Personal use is generally fine. Making karaoke tracks for your own entertainment, learning to play along with songs. Musicians use it to study arrangements and practice with isolated tracks. Some educational uses might fall under fair use, but that's a gray area. The key is keeping it personal and non-commercial.
What about the music industry? Are artists and labels freaking out about this, or have they figured out how to work with it?
It's mixed. Some artists are concerned about people creating unauthorized remixes or karaoke versions, but others are embracing it. Some musicians are releasing official stem packs, separated tracks for fans to remix legally, and producers are using these tools in their own workflow to analyze and learn from other songs. It's becoming another tool in the creative toolkit rather than just a threat.
That's smart. Instead of fighting the technology, they're finding ways to monetize it and control it. But what about quality? Because if people could potentially get in legal trouble if they mess about and do something they shouldn't, it better at least work well.
The quality really depends on how the original song was mixed and mastered. You might hear some vocal bleeding in the instrumental track, or the vocals might sound a bit hollow when isolated. It's kind of like when you're trying to separate egg whites, and you get a little yolk mixed in. The separation is good, but not always surgical precision.
So it's not like magic. There are still technical limitations. What works best, and what should people avoid if they're going to mess around with this?
Ballads and acoustic songs usually separate beautifully because the vocal and instrumental elements are distinct. Avoid heavily produced electronic music or anything with a lot of vocal effects and reverb. And older pop and rock from the 70s and 80s often works great because of how they were mixed with more separation between instruments.
Makes sense. The cleaner the original recording, the better the AI can pick it apart. What about live recordings or bootlegs? Can it handle that messiness?
Live recordings are much harder because everything bleeds into everything else. The vocals are coming through the drum mics, the crowd noise is everywhere, and the mix is usually not as clean. The AI can still try, but you're going to get a lot more artifacts and bleed through. It works best with studio recordings where everything was recorded separately to begin with.
So we're back to the quality of what you put in determines what you get out. Let's talk about the elephant in the room again, copyright. What's the actual legal landscape here?
The legal landscape is still evolving because the technology is moving faster than the law. Using separated tracks commercially, like in a YouTube video or a remix you're selling, could still be copyright infringement. Some artists and labels are more relaxed about instrumental use, especially for educational or transformative purposes. But the safe bet is to assume you need permission for anything public or commercial.
Classic tech problem. The tools exist before the rules do. So if someone wants to try this responsibly, what's the safest approach?
Start with songs you already own, keep it personal, and don't upload or share the results publicly. If you want to use separated tracks for content creation, look for royalty-free music or get proper licensing. And if you're a musician, consider reaching out to artists directly. Some are surprisingly open to collaboration.
That's good advice. Treat it like any other copyrighted material. Assume you need permission unless you know otherwise. What about the technical side? Do I need to be a sound engineer to use these tools?
Not at all. Most of them are designed for regular people. With LALAL.AI, you literally just drag and drop an audio file and hit a button. Ultimate Vocal Remover has more options if you want to get nerdy with it, but the basic function is still pretty straightforward. The AI does all the heavy lifting. You just need to know how to upload a file.
So it's accessible, but that also means it's easy for people to get into trouble without realizing it. What about the future of this technology? Where is it heading?
We're moving toward real-time separation and better quality isolation. There's also work on separating individual instruments. Not just vocals versus everything else, but drums, bass, guitar, keyboards, all as separate tracks. And hopefully clearer legal frameworks as the industry adapts to the technology.
Real-time separation would be wild, but also potentially more problematic from a copyright perspective. Any final thoughts on using this stuff responsibly?
The technology itself is impressive and has legitimate uses. Just remember that being able to do something technically doesn't mean you have the legal right to do it. When in doubt, keep it personal, respect the original artist, and consider supporting them by buying their music.
Good advice. It's like any powerful tool. It can be used responsibly or irresponsibly. Thanks for tuning in to My AI and I. AI vocal removal is definitely interesting technology, but remember to think about the ethics and legality before you start chopping up your favorite songs. Just because you can doesn't always mean you should.
Hey everyone, if you liked this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Thank you.